Les quiero contar algo que es muy importante para los que son fanáticos de Gillian, fanáticos de X-Files y de todo lo que ha hecho. Antes de terminar el panel, Gillian va a subastar una remera firmada, la remera que tiene puesta, esa misma remera la va a subastar, así que empiecen a buscar en los bolsillos, el que dé más se la va a llevar y es un recuerdo increíble. ¿Vamos a bajar las luces? ¿Y la recibimos?
You want to see blood in the streets. The extermination of 7 billion people.
I need your help.
I hate for war, Mr. Holmes. My son is none of your business. So that is special.
Gillian Anderson, ahí viene. Fuerte aplauso. You're very welcome.
I'm sorry, it's so funny. Thank you guys.
Welcome to our country. Your first time in Argentina?
Yeah.
And how do you do?
Thank you for having me.
We're very happy. Thank you. We're very happy.
I'm very happy.
The first time, I want to talk about your decision to be an actress. And the first question is, what made you decide to become an actress?
Oh, I actually don't know. I've been asked that question, and I have no idea why I went to my first audition. I had no idea what made me think that I might want to be an actress. I had a very early rejection, or what I had perceived as a rejection, and at a young age in an audition, and gave up. I met my first audition and I gave up. But then a couple years later, I went back and I took some acting classes, but I don't know.
Oh dear. Okay, we love X-Files.
I grew up with X-Files.
So, the question is, how did you get the character of Dan Scully?
How was I cast?
How did you get? How was the process of rendition?
Oh God, it was hell. I was very young, I was 24, and it was pretty much my first TV experience. I had done one other tiny thing, and I got called in for this audition, and then there's a whole process that you go through before you get cast as an actor in television in America, where it's called going to network, where you actually go to, so I went to Fox, and you have to audition first, and then you have to audition for the producers and the director, then you have to come back again, you go through this whole process. And then you also go through a process where you're auditioning at the same time as all the other actresses and actors who are up for the same role, and you sit in the waiting room with everybody else at the same time, going into the room, coming out of the room, watching their faces, trying to see whether they look happy or defeated. And it goes on for a whole day. They keep you there until they say that you can be released, and you get called back in, or you don't, or, you know. And so it was pretty nerve-wracking. And then I got the job.
Do you remember what was your first reaction when you read about Dan Scully? About the series, the X-Files? What was your...
You mean my first reaction to the script when I read it?
The first...
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't used to reading television series because I wasn't interested in auditioning for television at the time. But I did recognize that it was a very different script than anything that was on television. And it felt more like The Silence of the Lambs than anything that had been, you know, that it felt like a feature and like something that had, you know, previously been a feature before, and nothing on television remotely resembled it. So it felt really special and unique, and the characters felt very unique and like something I had never read before or seen before.
And do you remember your first encounter with David?
Yeah. Yes, I do. It was in a hallway at network when we were auditioning for the series. It was the anteroom. Yeah, it was pretty moist in there. We were sat in a hallway, and at some point he asked if I wanted to run lines. It's a good pickup line. But so yeah, we went.
We got that scene of the first season of X-Files. Vamos a bajar las luces. La primera escena de X-Files.
Two FBI agents assigned listening pieces. You believe in this. One the skeptic, one a believer. Both trying to answer questions that are never meant to be uncovered.
I think those kids have been abducted.
By who?
By what?
Look up. Nobody sees or touches this.
Distinguishing features indicate subject is not human. You got to trust me.
I gotta know what they're protecting.
Hold it right there. Between reality and fantasy.
You've got to protect me.
Terror and reason. Life chilling secrets.
Mulder, is that you? Mulder?
How was it working with the creator? Chris Carter?
It was great. He was a great champion of mine from the very beginning. It was because of him that I got the role. The network didn't want to cast me, so I felt very supported by and encouraged by him from the beginning. The series existed because of him, his idea, his brain, his obsession, his perfectionism. And, he was really the one who kind of kept it going at the height of its success, for as long as it went, because of how involved he was in every last detail of it.
When I saw the series for the first time, I think I remember an old series called Kolchak, The Night Stalker with Darren McGavin. What was your... Yes. What was your inspiration for creating that color?
Nothing.
Okay. Just the script.
Yeah, no, I'd never seen a character like her before. The only thing was, I guess, in retrospect, when I would do interviews, people would say she's very much like Jodie Foster in Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether that had actually occurred to me, or it wasn't until later that I thought, oh yeah, they are very similar, and it's possible that subliminally but I've never seen a character, that character did not exist before on television or anything like that, and so much of it was Chris, and the character that he had created that was on the page, in the script, and it was just basically following his lead. I, very early on, from having only pretty much done theater and being used to the process of exploring characters over periods of time when you're in a rehearsal process, I think in the second or third episode, I was holding a gun on a monster and started crying. And he was like, "What are you doing?" He doesn't cry. And I was just trying to shake things up and do things differently. I was just trying to add some, but. And he was right. That that made sense.
We have other scene. Tenemos una escena. Vamos a ponerla.
Sí.
Policy and protocol. I will have you written up, wrapped up, and tossed out of the FBI for good. Am I understood, Agent Scully?
Describe the relationship of Mulder and Scully with Skinner. What kind of relationship is it?
They're... Hannibal! Stop talking about the X-Files!
Here's the last question. Okay.
Skinner and Scully's relationship over time was different. It changed throughout the series, and sometimes she, it felt like she was in control, and sometimes it felt like he was in control. And I think for a long time she had a great deal of respect for him. That's all I have to say.
Jamie Norman in the film, in the fall.
What was it like working with Jamie? That's not the question I want you to ask. Well, that's right. Jamie, he's a really, really lovely human being. He's very funny, and he has a fantastic sense of humor and personality. And we didn't get a lot of time actually working together because most of the time our scenes were separate. But when we did, when he beat the shit out of me, we got a lot more fun.
And what do you like about Stella Gibson? What do you like about Stella Gibson? What do you say yes for the fall?
What do I like about Stella Gibson? What do you like about Stella Gibson?
Why do you say yes for me?
No, I mean she is one of the most she's one of the favorite characters I've ever played. She's one of the most intense, enigmatic, interesting, complex, kick-ass women I have a chance to play, and she's I haven't really seen a character like her again represented, and I feel like she taught me a lot. I know when I read the script, I knew that there was no way that I wasn't going to play her. I felt like I understood her immediately, and that she was already inside me. I feel like she was good for. I remember saying this when we first started doing press, before the press or the public had seen the series. And I said, I know you're not going to know what I mean yet, but just trust me, I feel like it's really important that she's out there in the world for women. It's really important that this character is out there in the consciousness of, and so I think we know what that means now.
But what do you have in mind when you choose a character, a movie, a series? What is important for you?
Well, I mean, the first thing is whether or not I feel like I've done it before, because that's the first thing that would make me not even consider something as if it's too similar to something I've done before. Obviously, who the director is, or whether I feel like I'm interested in the vision of the piece and the material itself, the script. But in terms of the actual character itself, there's been films where the script has been pretty good and interesting director, but I haven't connected with the character on the page at all. Whether it's because it just wasn't meant for me, or whether it wasn't fully fleshed out enough or interesting enough to spend that kind of time away from family. Something needs to be special in my mind, special enough to have to go away and be apart from my family in order to do it. So yeah, but material mostly, I think. The script needs to be good. Yeah.
About Hannibal. What was your feeling when your agent called you for a character in a Hannibal series? What was your first reaction?
I think my first reaction was I wasn't interested in doing more television. I was put on the phone with Brian Fuller, who wanted to talk me through why he had thought about me for her, and try and convince me, that it would be just a short, I wouldn't have to commit to very much. It would just be 3 episodes, and then we could take it from there. It could just be standalone 3 episodes, and which at the time, I think in terms of kids and other stuff that I had going on, felt like it was about right. But then, I think the minute I got there, and I sat in her chair, and I sat across from Maz, we we started playing these scenes, I thought, you know, I could do more of this. And then, you know, Brian, I didn't realize that he was doing this. He never said this to me. But he said in an interview after we'd, I don't know, done 2 or 3 of the seasons, he said that they purposefully made the dialogue difficult for me, like nonsensical, to see what I would do with it. Crazy. Thanks.
Rats looked very scary in Hannibal.
Even for you, it would be scary?
Yeah. For you, no? It was a surprise for you, the success of Hannibal, the success after the movies of Hannibal. Was it a surprise for you, the success?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the thing about Hannibal, it was a critical success. And it was a success with the fans and a very, very strong fan base. But it wasn't a number success enough. There wasn't enough people watching it. You know, if it was on Netflix, it would be a different scenario. You know, it would be different. But because it was on a network, and it's quite, you know, it's really pushing the boundaries quite considerably. The show, I think it's. If it had you know, with just a few more different elements to it, it probably would have had a longer life.
And how was the experience in Crisis?
I never heard that word. I mean, in that context. It was. It was odd. It was an odd year. It was one season, and it was shot in Chicago, and I don't know quite what to say about it. It was an odd experience.
Yes. In American Gods to play media.
You're not in control.
and you play Marilyn, Judy Garland, David Bowie. What is the most complicated part from make this kind of character icons, the movies, icons of the pop culture?
I think the most complicated part is that so much of it was done just in my own head, because I live in London, they shoot in Toronto, I prepare everything just in my own room or office or wherever, and then show up the day of filming to get into wardrobe and costume and makeup, and then just do it in front of the camera. And I think, you know, in normal circumstances, or different circumstances, there would be rehearsal, there would be more discussion, there would be more direction, there would be more, but there just wasn't, we weren't able to do that. And so it was, so then I guess the complicated element is, what if you show up and you are really terrible? What if you show up and you've got it so wrong that they need you to be doing it differently, and so I think that's the biggest challenge, is just trusting that the work that I'm doing and show up to do is going to be what they want me to be doing, you know?
You have a lot of experience in TV series. For you as an actress, is it difficult, or it's more easy to play the same character in different seasons? It's more complicated to play the same character?
Well, there are its own complications. I mean, playing the same character for so many years and keeping it new and interesting and fresh and not getting bored or tired of it, or feeling like you've lost the spine or the motivation of the character, that has its own challenge. and also the desire to do other things as you go on gets stronger and stronger, and you can feel more and more resentful for being stuck in something. And so that's also part of what you have to, the work that you need to do is to stay patient and grateful, and so that's the one side of it. And then the other side of it is doing other characters. Every single set is a different experience, and some sets are very welcoming and easy to work in, and you feel supported as an actor. And some sets you very much feel like you're completely on your own and you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So it's always different.
The two last questions. The first one is, do you think it's possible a new season of X-Files without Scully? And the last question is, after many years in X-Files, do you believe in the life on other planets?
I'm going to talk about Streetcar, since that's the last question. What do you want to know? What do you want to know about Blanche? Did some of you get to see Streetcar? What? We went to the yard. Well, so I wanted to do Streetcar Named Desire since I was 16 years old, and so when we eventually did it 30 years later, it was definitely, it was a dream come true that I've been working for a short time, 10 years at least, to try and make it happen. And so in the end, I felt like everything about the production that we put on was the best version of what I could have ever hoped for it to be, between the theater that we did it in, the Young Vic, and getting to work with Benedict Andrews and Vanessa Kirby, who you guys probably know, who played Stella, and Ben Foster, and just the whole cast. It was probably the single most extraordinary experience of my life, both doing it in London and doing it in New York, and it really, really, more than anything else that I've done in my life, probably felt like a dream come true. And so, and also having the opportunity to play her, and I didn't even realize until we started working on it how much of a genius Tennessee Williams is. And so, even though I was desperate to do it, I didn't realize how fortunate I was to have an opportunity to play that character and to work on one of his plays. So.